Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to see you here today. Today is a knitting podcast and I'm going to tell you all about my recent knitting makes, what I have on the needles, and what I have coming up. So this will take a traditional knitting podcast turn and I hope that you enjoy. Okay, so what do I have finished today? Oh, let me tell you first what I'm wearing. This is my Bright Feather sweater by Jennifer Steingass. I love this sweater. It is so perfect for this time of year. It is probably my first colorwork sweater. I love the way the white pops. I just think it's so beautiful. I made this in a combination of yarns. Mostly it's Holstgarn. It's a base that they've discontinued that was a wool cashmere base. And then I mixed that with the Holstgarn Titicaca, which is their alpaca base. And then up here was just a plain white knit crate sock yarn, like just a undyed. And I paired that with Knitting for Olive mohair in their lightest color. I don't remember what it was called. And then down here, I ran out of the Titicaca, shocking. And I switched to a darker color of the Knitting for Olive mohair, which actually works because then it just means the cuffs are a little bit more fluffy. So this is so warm for this time of year and I absolutely love it. So highly recommend that pattern. Okay, I have a few things that I finished, a few gifts. I don't have any finished garments, but I have an almost finished garment and it's a little bit cheeky, so get ready. Okay. This is the Alba beanie, and I made this from some beautiful cashmere yarn that was gifted to me by my friend James, and I'll put the name of it. I believe it's called Jade Sapphire cashmere, and it's just really, it's kind of slouchy. I can do a brim, I can put a brim on it if I want to, but honestly, I mostly just wear it like this. Wear it a little bit slouchy, and I joke that it's like little cashmere goats cuddling my ears. It's just warm and soft. This would not work for like winter in Canada, but for winter in Spain, it works really, really well. And I wear it around the house and I wear it out. Right now it's getting to be chillier, just a little bit chillier. And so I've been wearing this more inside than outside, but during the day, like when it's sunny, it's perfect. And then the other hat I have this is the Sandoval hat. I made this for my husband, you might remember. But when I made it just as is, he found it not warm enough. So what I did was I undid the cast on edge, which is not fun, but it is possible, just so you know. It took me about 45 minutes to undo the cast on edge and add each stitch back onto the needles, but it is doable. And I used some Drops Baby Merino that I had left over from another project, which is actually not a yarn I like very much. I don't really like knitting with it. I don't love the way it looks, but it is really soft and great for the lining of a hat. So I held it double and I just knit, well, you can see if I hold it like this. There we go. Almost like a muscle burrow. I knit, did some quick decreases at the end. I still haven't even woven that in. And then, folded that in. The lining is definitely more snug, but my husband has a smaller hat than I do. He'll be mad if I try it on because he thinks I stretch out his hats. So I won't try it on, but it fits him really well. And we don't need a hat, or especially him because he's warm-blooded, don't need a hat very often, but when you do, it's really nice to have. So that was a good pattern. And then my two gifts. Okay, and I'm gonna put in pictures of these. So for a friend of mine, actually they're both for the same person. Now I did make a couple things for the girls, but really nothing worth showing. So I'm not even gonna bother with that. But I had a friend and we were in a Secret Santa and I knew that she wanted a tea cozy. And so I went online and I found this turtleneck tea cozy and I used some leftovers from my De Rerum Natura Ulysse from different sweaters that I'd made. And I made her this tea cozy. And it's an easy pattern and it fits her teapot well. It's maybe just a tiny bit too short, but I didn't have the teapot with me, so I was kind of flying blind a little bit. But she really loves it, and I think it's perfect. And I love the way you can kind of roll up or roll down the turtleneck depending on how warm you want to keep your teapot. And then and I also got her some tea to go with it. And then at the last minute, I was like, I want to add one more little thing. Maybe I'll make her a little ornament. And I went online and I found this pattern for canary. This project was so satisfying. I used a strand of, I think it might have been Zakami, but I don't remember. It was from my advent calendar from Inga from Knitting Traditions last year. And so I had this one strand of yellow that was the perfect color. And then I used a strand of Camarosa Midnut Sole, which is a, it's not a mohair, but it's got that feel of it. It's like an alpaca. And I knit this in about an hour and a half. Like start to finish, it was done in an hour and a half. It was so easy, free pattern. And then I have lots of embroidery thread around my house because my kids like to embroider. And so there's a video of how to do like the face. I was so enamored of this little thing, and I immediately put it on my tree. You just have two long strands that you wrap around to like attach it to your finger or to a branch or whatever. I immediately put it on my tree until I brought it to her house, and then I put it on her tree, and she absolutely loves it. So next year for Christmas, I'm 100% making one of those for my tree, and maybe a few as gifts because they're just so easy, and I just think they're adorable. They're just so pretty and cheerful. Lisa from the future here. I realize I forgot an FO, so I'm gonna stick this in now because I literally forgot to show you these last time as well. So I was like, I cannot forget to show you now. These are a sock test that I finished for Andrea Mowry. It's the tessellated sock. So, the tessellated vest and the tessellated pullover or whatever it is that she has. This is the sock. And if you love the look of the tessellated, but you're worried about doing all of that mosaic knitting, this is a great alternative because it's small, right? And I did mine slightly lower contrast, and I love them. I wear them a lot. I don't know where the other one is, but probably under my bed. Super warm. This is the first time that I've ever used mohair or a fuzzy yarn. This actually isn't mohair. But I used a fuzzy yarn in socks, and I really like it. So the three yarns that I've used here are, oops, let me tuck in this end so you don't see it. Shh. This is Holskarn Highland, which is their stock yarn. So far, I would say the heels and toes have held up really, really well. So that's good. And then the pink, Ready Pink, is actually Retrosaria Rosa Pomar Mondim. And one of the colorways, if I can think of it, I'll put it down there. And the thing with that is that this was supposed to use a color changing yarn, but I wanted to use something I had on hand. So this isn't exactly color changing, it's more kind of speckled, but it worked really well. And then the mohair part is Midnut Sole from Camarosa, and I believe I held it double. Did I hold it double? No, held single. And so it was really interesting working with the three yarns, but not unpleasant, I have to say. I did really enjoy working on it. And the only thing is that because it was a test, of course, I had to make sure that I made gauge. And I think that she wanted you to knit these on like a 3 or a 2.75, I can't remember. I had to go down so low. So I guess these are considered like a sport weight sock, maybe because I think the original uses the color changing yarn, I think is maybe a DK. So in order for me to get gauge, I went down to a 2.0 millimeter needle on the body and 1.75 for the heels, toes, and cuffs. So, and that was in order to get the gauge to be able to knit the size that I signed up for, which was the second size. If I were to make these again, I would knit the first size and I would go up a needle size and do 2.25 or whatever and a 2. But anyway, so I wanted to show you those. Tessellated socks by Drea Renee Knits. And yeah, highly recommend. It was a really nice pattern. So those were my main FOs. Now I have a semi-FO, but not. The Rivendell. You will notice we are missing something. However, please look at how beautiful this sweater is. This is a gorgeous pattern. It is so original, so unlike anything else that I've knit. You can see the back here. I don't think I've ever done an overall patterned or a textured sweater. And yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. So this, you might remember if you watched my last episode, is in Dark Omen yarns in their merino yak base in the color Sear. And when I last talked to you guys, I was going to I had all these plans because I couldn't justify ordering one more skein. And then in the end, I just went, you know what? Just accept that you made a mistake, don't do it again, and get your other skein. And I kind of made it my Christmas present to myself, although I have yet to order it. I've checked with him, he has it. I'm waiting. He said he might have a cheaper shipping option coming up, so I'm waiting, but I'll probably reach out this week because I do want to get it done. It's just beautiful. Like, the yarn is beautiful. It's worth it. So yeah, and I decided in the end I didn't want to take a shortcut. I wanted to have this beautiful sweater done and complete as is. And I got some lovely compliments from Sari on Instagram about it, so that was nice. I'll put in some pictures of me wearing it. I was very cheeky for it because it was a test knit, right? And so I made it seem like I had finished the sweater. I did tell them I hadn't finished it. I wasn't trying to pull the wool over their eyes, but I wanted to have some nice FO looking photos. And yeah, but even just holding it now, I'm like, gosh, I really want this done. I want it finished. Okay, and then if you watched my video about unraveling sweaters, I'll put in cards and I'll link it somehow. I'd love it if you went over and watched those. Some of you did and you enjoyed the process. And I unraveled a Irish Aran sweater. And some of you were, you felt it was such a shame to unravel that sweater. And I get that, I do. But that sweater, I'll put in a picture, and it is beautiful, don't get me wrong. But that had been on the secondhand site for 7 months for $10 and had not been purchased. And 2/3 of the clothes that we donate go to a landfill, right? So better to take it and reuse it for something that will make you happy rather than just let it languish, because obviously, if it's been sitting there for 7 months for $10, it's not going to get worn and appreciated by somebody else as is, right? And I don't know about you, but my perception is that men shop less than women. So the fact that it was a men's extra large, I don't still think it was going to go anywhere. So I'm happy to give it new life and reuse rather than start with new materials sometimes. Not that I don't love buying yarn, of course I do. But I also love the idea of reusing. So I knit up a swatch with that yarn, and I soaked it, and it's definitely softer. It's still a rustic yarn. Don't get me wrong. This is not soft merino. It's definitely a rustic yarn, but I really love the look of it. And I think that I want to do a Lume sweater from Sari Nordland. I have a free pattern for finishing that test, and I think I'm going to get the Lume. And I have bought some Rit dye, and I want to dye part of this to make a Lume. So if you have experience with Rit dye, dyeing yarn, please tell me below. Give me any tips. Obviously, I want it to be black, and obviously, I don't want it to bleed on the cream. So I will appreciate any tips you can give me. Okay. And then previous to that one, I had unraveled another sweater, and I am planning to do something on the process of that. I don't know if I'll have done it by the time you see this, probably not. So this is the sweater that I purchased. Again, it was a wool, very rustic wool sweater, and it was, I think, the first one I unraveled, maybe, or the second, I think. And it's the yarn I got. I'll put in a picture of all the yarn I got. I think I got 600 grams of yarn from that one sweater. So I wanted to use it right away because I don't want you guys to think I'm just unraveling sweaters and not making things from them and just adding to a pile. So there's this Sadness Darn leaflet, booklet, pardon me, I have a little bit of a cold still. And this sweater, oops, let's go over one. This is the Nomi cardigan. Know me? Know me? I've loved this since I saw it, and I really wanted to make it. And so on Boxing Day, well, actually, I was sick over Christmas. So actually, from the end of Christmas Day, Boxing Day, the 27th, I was totally useless. So I didn't really actually cast anything on until a little bit later, and I tried a couple things. Anyway, I finally cast this on New Year's Eve, I believe, or maybe even January 1st. So it's gone really quickly. And here is the Nomi. So you can see here's the line, and it's got these lovely twisted stitches on the raglan. I have done, so this is most of the length. I may add a little more length. And you can see I'm almost done the second sleeve. I have steamed this a couple times, and I have to say it's getting much softer the more I steam it. But here is the most fun part. I grafted the cuff from the original sweater onto my newly knit sleeve. I'll show you the bad side. That's the seam there. It's not too bad. This is the seam. And that's the front. And I'm so chuffed with how it looks. Like, I just think it looks so perfect. I'm gonna do, as part of my video about this sweater, I'm going to show you exactly how I do it and give you a step-by-step. But let me give you a little preview. I did a 3-needle bind off. So it has enough, it doesn't need a ton of, flexibility. And now I have a couple little ends that I'm gonna felt in. Like, I'm gonna use my felting needle because I don't want it to come apart. So I didn't want to cut it too short, but I'm very chuffed with how that turned out. I'll show you, see that this is what I had. This is the ribbing that I had, and I grafted it on step by step. And you can see here now I've got the back ribbing, and I put it on a needle, and I'm going to do the same thing. It took me 3 tries, and here's why. Initially, when I started, I was ending up with the seam on the front, which honestly wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It's actually quite a nice seam. Might have been a nice detail. Maybe I should have done it that way. I don't know. But my first try, I didn't like it. So then I flipped it around and thought I had it correct, but I had the ribbing on the wrong side, and so it was again turning out with the seam on the front. And so in the end, I wanted to have the ribbing in front. Well, I'll show you in the video. I don't want to say it incorrectly. I'm going to do a video and show you exactly how. But anyway, look at that nice ribbing that I didn't have to do. That's super tight, more so than I ever would have been able to do. And so I'm going to do the same for the hem. Oh, hang on. I saved you watching me blow my nose there. And then I have to do the button band. Now, the button band. I'm trying to decide if I want to, oh, I just broke a nail. Ooh, I really broke a nail. Ooh, I won't show you. I'm trying to decide if I want to do the attach as you go double knit band, or if I want to knit the band and attach it, which is what's in the pattern. So please let me know below what you think, what you've done. Clearly it's going to be a very long button band, but I also think it's going to be really worth it. I'm not 100% this color on me. Maybe it's a little bit light, but it's going to be a cardigan, so it's not going to be like super near my face or anything like that. And I have knitted up really quickly. It's only been a week, and actually I didn't knit on it at all yesterday because I want to wait to record adding the cuff. So I'm kind of done the knitting part for the most part, and so I wanted to make sure to take a pause before I attach that ribbing so I could show you guys how I did it. Okay, that's that. And then one more. This is the last work in progress, and if I'm honest, this is probably going to hibernate now until next year. But I'm going to show it to you anyway. This was my first recycled cashmere, and it's called the How, which I think means water in Danish. And I'll put in a picture of the sweater as it's supposed to be. all that I've done since I last saw you is I picked up the back and I've done this, 2 inches along here. Had I not had so much to knit for Christmas, a lot more of this would have been done. But now it really feels Christmassy and it feels a little funny to work on it now. So now that I've shown it to you, I'm gonna put her in hibernation until next fall and then get her done. I think probably the amount of yarn I have left, because I'm holding this double, I think probably she's gonna turn into a slipover, which will be great. A slipover is great, very practical. And yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, and so the very last thing is plans. Now, I don't know if this video is gonna go up before or after, but I have a video on unraveling this sweater. This is a vintage cashmere sweater. Well, I say vintage. I don't know what vintage means anymore, but it is a cashmere sweater, 100% cashmere, knit or made in Italy. And I frogged it and turned it into this. So this is 500 grams of pure cashmere. And unlike the red one that I have to hold double, I don't have to hold this one double. This is one of the reasons why I purchased it, because I thought, how often do you see a chunky cashmere sweater? Almost never, like for sale, right? You can see that it's several strands together. And I have a couple ideas for this. So based on the meterage, it should be a sport weight, but having seen the original sweater, it really looked more DK, very much so. And so I'm looking at both sport and DK, and I will knit up a swatch and see what happens. So I have 3 possibilities right now. Okay, I had to grab my notebook because I'm not gonna remember the names of the patterns that I'm looking at. So I didn't wanna just take this sweater that had one cable down the center, and I don't think I have a picture of me wearing it, but I did try it on as is, and it wasn't particularly flattering. Like, it could have been just a cozy sweater that I would have cozied up in and probably slept in, but much more fun to turn it into something that I'm really gonna love. So I wanted to do something with some sort of texture, because what's the point of unraveling a stockinette, mostly stockinette sweater, to just knit it back up into a stockinette sweater again, right? So I have 3 possibilities. Where is my list? Here we go. The soft loop sweater from Other Loops. This is a heavy fingering weight, but I've seen people make it with DK. I like the idea of putting some texture, but not following a chart. Like, I was looking at the Alvar pullover. I'll put that in as well for Sorry Nordland. But what I've discovered from doing that red sweater that has all that texture is I don't love doing it. Like, I love the look, but I find it a little bit, I make a lot of mistakes, and then I've got to go back and switch knits to pearls and pearls to knits. It's just a little more attention than I want to pay, I think. So this Other Loops one, I think, yes, you're gonna have to pay attention, but I think it's gonna be much more straightforward. So that's a possibility. And I like the neckline. I like that kind of look, could be cool. The Honoka by Natsuka Aida is one I came across, and I like the shape of that. I know from other sweaters that I have that something that kind of comes in the waist like that and has that almost dolman sleeve is really nice on me, so I like wearing it. So that's a possibility. And then sweater number 28 from My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I haven't made anything from My Favorite Things Knitwear, I don't think. I mean, I definitely haven't made any garments. Whether I've made maybe really early on, like still in Toronto, I might have made a hat or something, but I don't think so, not that I can remember. So that might be fun to try one of theirs. And then there's also the Colette by Sorry Nordland. I like that as well. I'm a little bit hesitant to do anything with eyelets in a winter garment because I always wear a t-shirt underneath my sweaters. I don't ever wear them next to skin. The spring, summer garments, yes, but the winter garments I never do. So anything with eyelets, you're gonna see what's underneath. I'm gonna have to be careful of what I wear underneath. So obviously, like, I'm not gonna wear blue and have it like shine through. So that's my little bit of a hesitation on that, but that could also be a really nice option. The other one, the last one that I might is also from this book. And that would be, like, for instance, it would be beautiful in something like this, right? But it just feels like kind of knitting up the same sweater again. Not exactly, but there's this one here. And that's also really pretty. It's called, what is it called? I don't know. It's called the Haligenser. And that's pretty cool. But clearly something I'd have to pay a lot of attention to. So I don't know. Tell me below which one you think I should make. Which one would suit me best? I'd love to hear. And yeah, I'm really excited to get this on the needles. Obviously too, because it's so splitty, I don't want to do anything where I'm gonna have to do too much manipulating of, like lace or whatever. I don't think would be great. So that might factor in as well. Okay, so that's all for me today. Please do let me know below what you're working on. I would love to hear. I'd love to get inspired by things that you're working on. And if you have a Ravelry handle, let me know that too, so I can go over and check out your projects. Okay guys, that's all for me. I hope that wherever you are, the sun is shining and you are knitting or sewing or doing whatever makes your crafty heart happy. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.